1, 2, 3.
What's going on?
We do not know.
However, based upon the urgency of Professor Xavier's summons, it would appear to be a matter of some importance.
Hello, and welcome to A Matter of Some Importance. I mean, X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show.
I think we have a new name for the show.
Yeah, it's A Matter of Some Importance with
I
Davan
like
and
it.
Andre. I am your host.
Keep your shirt on, pretty boy.
Oh, okay. Put that away. Skelhorn. That's hard to say. And with me is...
How much thought did you put into
I
that?
have to do this alone.
Yeah. Do this alone.
Mm-hmm.
No, I have a co-host. Whatever, he's already here.
Did he say wrestlers?
No, I said co-host, but he is a wrestler.
Mm-hmm. I've
Henry
been
Guyette. Henry Guyette. How's it going, Henry?
Pretty good. Once again, my names remain the most clever names the show's ever seen.
Well, let's let the X-Goons decide who has the
They know what's going on.
Tonight's not my best. It's
they know
probably
the score.
you. I mean, I came up with your best one on Drabertooth, so you got to give that one to me.
I have no recollection of you coming up with that. As far as I remember, it was all me, and I always will be.
You remember incorrectly, sir. Anyways, we are here to review Season 4, Episode 6. Courage of X-Men the Animated Series.
Courage!
The best rock band of all time. Written by Sandy Scesney and Michael Edens.
You think the Tragically Hip are the greatest rock band of all time?
Yeah, they have the most songs that I like by a mile. Like most bands, honestly, I like a few of their songs, and I can take or leave the rest unless they play like a traditional form, like blues or jazz or like reggae or something I can just fall into that I enjoy. But not the Hip, man. I like most of their songs.
Oh, I love the Hip. I find it like there's some bands that are deeply Canadian, you know, like when you'd say well known amongst Canadians, but not necessarily known on the world stage to the level they are here, and they are probably the prime example of that one. I mean, the world's discovered all the others, like Bare Naked Ladies, or I don't know, Rush, yeah, for instance. Even like Honeymoon Suite or those guys, like Loverboy or whatever, like they've made it on levels beyond here. But the Hip always seem to mostly just stay within Canada as far as their popularity.
I guess they do pretty good in Europe when they go over there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I've heard. I could see that. But anyway, you'll be glad to know our game segment at the end tonight's going to be our top X segment, and it's going to have nothing to do with the X-Men. We're just going to list off the 10 best Tragically Hip songs. That'll be fun.
Oh, no, I don't know if I can do that in order, but I can certainly try.
No, by our own opinion. You're going to pick 5, I'm going to pick 5, and we're going to tell people.
We're doing that instead of X points?
Yep. No, not instead of X points, instead of our little game at the end.
I have a question for you, Dad, before we begin this macabre dance that we do every once a week. What is your opinion on digital comics?
Well, I will say it's reading anything on a screen rather than a page is just inherently less enjoyable. But, I like that they're there. I mean, if they can access more people that way, which of course they can. It's too expensive to buy paper comics. Like, they're just redonkulously expensive.
Yeah, it's getting pretty bad that way.
I get angry when I look through my comics and I'm reading 10 cents, 15 cents, 15 cents, 25 cents. I'm just like, even at inflation and everything, that's way different world.
Well, it's funny because I was like, I wanted to start reading Kaiju Max because I picked up that volume and I had to go catch up on it, and I have all these single issues, so I started going through them. And then I was like, I'll just get all the single issues put aside and go read them. And then I went to go look and I was missing a couple. And I don't know if I lost them in a shuffle or if they're still in the box somewhere. I looked through the box several times, or if maybe I didn't get them from the comic store. And since I wasn't reading it regularly, I didn't notice and didn't think to ask or offer, So I'm like, well, the 2 issues I need, I also can't find the first 4. So I'm like, I know I bought those because I read them. So I'm like looking through my boxes and I can't find them. I'm sure they're crammed in there somewhere. But I'm like, man, I just want to read this and I want to go through all the hassle of going through everything. So I just looked up online, what these single issues that I needed would cost. And the value of it is, a lot. Even, so I'm like, well, I just looked around and I looked on Amazon to see what the volumes cost. And then it led me to Comixology, which is Amazon's comic version of their Kindle. And you can lock in with their Kindle. You can buy like $9.99 a month. Will give you Kindle Unlimited, and then all of the Kaiju Max books are in there under that. So if I get that, I just got the 30-day trial. But like I'm literally reading. I'm on chapter 5 of the first deluxe edition, and it's great. Like I really like it. It allows me to read in bed because I can't have lights on. My wife's sleeping, so like I don't know, man. I'm really digging it. I think this will allow me to
modern stuff that way.
Pardon?
I keep up with all the modern stuff I want to keep up to on month to month that way.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to start doing that because like I want to read these X-Men comics. They sound really interesting. Everything you've been telling me about the X-Men comics sounds really interesting, but it's like, I don't know where to, start or whatever. Like if I can just pick up the trades.
Start at Dawn of X and Powers of 10.
Dawn of X and Powers of 10. All right, I'll lock it in.
House of X. It might be House of X and Powers of 10. They came out at the same time, basically.
Is that where we started on the current run of X-Men that we're on right now?
Yeah. And Jonathan Hickman writes it, and it's fantastic. And
House of X, Powers of X. House of X / Powers of X?
That's the one you
All right, so it's free. It's free with Amazon with Kindle Unlimited.
Now, I would wonder how creators think about this, because I can't imagine they're getting the cut they would get off of a paper comic. But, if it's probably the kind of thing, do you want 10 cents a million more times, or 1,000 more times, or do you want just not want that at all? Like I can't imagine it takes away too much. I think people who are going to buy paper comics are going to buy paper comimics.
I'm still going to buy paper comics. I'll buy Spider-Man that way, but it's just like the rest is too much. Like I can't. I started buying the Star Wars comics and they just started cramping out too many of them and I couldn't keep up. And it's like I'm trying, man.
Being an X fan, like you have to be a rich man to buy every X-Men comic.
Well, look, I threw Powers of X / House of X in there, and I'll read it. So there we go.
Let me and the X-Goons know you're going to love it.
It's a great way for me to catch up on this stuff. If you say, hey, go read this, I can probably find it on this and read it. And instead of trying to track down an expensive thing, I also got a big tax bill I got to pay. So I'm trying to save money. Take this.
When that's done, it spins out into a bunch of titles, and most of those are really good. They're in their first volume.
Also, before we begin, what are you drinking this evening?
Water.
I finally am drinking alcohol on one of these, which I rarely do. And you're not even drinking with me.
Nope.
So
nothing in the house to join you either.
At the liquor store, there was in their discount rack, they had a gin advent calendar left over from Christmas that was marked down.
Oh, that's fun.
So I already did the first one. This one is called Proper Pink Gin.
I do love a gin. I should get one of those.
Yeah, it's like $80, but it's marked out for like $120 or something.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, it's in a wax thing, and you just pop them out. And this one's pink gin. Oh, it smells really good. Kind of reminds me of Empress Gin, which is one of my favorites.
Oh, very good.
Bottoms up, X-Goons.
Well, bottoms up.
I do have some poppy.
H2O.
Lame. All right, let's get
this one's for you, Morph.
You wasted no time getting that one.
We had to bring it back.
Well, before I start, you better cut me off.
I will. Don't worry. I was just about to do it.
Previously on X-Men.
He forced me to think through why I formed the X-Men and why we fight for our ideals and for each other. In short, why I live. For that, I will always be grateful.
Grateful to that Shadow King.
Yes. Yep.
Strange ending, but it tells you the crux of the episode, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's good. I like that episode. I didn't not like this one. It just, I don't know. It's not very exciting. But anyway, let's jump into it.
When I
So,
read the synopsis to do up my description for the episode before I watch it, I was way more excited for it than it ended up delivering.
yeah, it
I
was
felt.
fairly wasn't overly exciting on any real stretch. I mean, it didn't seem like it was necessary, I guess, you know. And I don't know if every episode needs to prove itself as to why it needs to exist. But this one
Should have
just
been
seemed,
Morph coming back and everything like that. Like,
well, considering it was an afterthought, he wasn't supposed to come back to begin with. There, get down, buddy.
Yeah, that.
You know, it's like, why bother? You know.
Anyway, this almost like they had gotten feedback that said Morph was the favorite character, right? So they were getting pressure to keep him in the show, obviously, which
But
they
how?
So this episode feels like they just got a note saying, "All right, we need another Morph episode financially or something." Like, and they just stuck it in there because you're right; it doesn't really necessarily flow. And it's good stuff, like freaking Master Mold and like.
Yeah, there's some decent stuff, but like I said, it just feels like. I mean, I feel like if you're looking for an emotional through line to bring Morph back, this one.
This wasn't it. No, I
Yeah.
agree.
Anyway, so we meet Morph going through some studies at Moira McTaggart. He inexplicably has brown hair now and brown eyes. Did you?
He always did.
His hair was black before.
Oh, it's just a bit lighter. Interesting. Well, he can do that. That's nothing for Morph.
I suppose. Perhaps. I guess I never thought about that. He could just change his own hair color if he wants to. Maybe the black hair was reminiscent of him being possessed by Mr. Sinister. But he had it before that when he was shot by the Sentinel the first time. So they really lightened up his hair and also made him a little more handsome, I guess. You know, by animation.
He doesn't have
standards.
the big purple bags under his eyes.
Yeah, and they also they seem to have buffed him up a little bit. Like he's not as skinny as he was before. So it sounds like he's been lifting some weights, maybe eating better. I don't know.
He wants to be an X-Man again.
That's
You
right.
know there's more to being an X-Man than getting a good night's sleep.
What? Like blue fur? Or designer eyewear?
It's a fun little scene. And we see him sitting on the plane, reading a magazine, heading back to leaving Muir Island. And
You know I cannot keep you if you're determined to go.
I gotta believe that's not. I can't be a real Scottish person. That accent is like
definitely not.
that accent is like so thick and like put on. I cannot keep you if you're going to go. Like so hammy. I cannot keep you if you're going to go. I'm a Morty McTaggart. This means I'm Scottish.
Professor.
Oh, Professor. I'm fucking Banshee now. So anyway, we get to
Moira was voiced by Lally Cadeau.
Well, after that, we cut to some guy working in a robot factory with Polymer arguing on the phone with another guy. Not really sure. Just basically just to establish they got some fancy,
Lally Cadeau is from Burlington, Ontario. I don't believe she's Scottish.
That makes sense.
That's where Cousin Dave lives.
Well, let's see if we can look her up. Get her on the show. Do her Scottish accent. I wonder if she'll be back doing Moira McTaggart on the new series.
Wouldn't that be something?
That would be interesting. I don't know if Disney would go to their way to get that character, correct, but we'll see.
Well, they should because you love her accent.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, yeah. I also love the movie The Room, but not for the right reasons. So they're layers. So we see this guys working in this robot factory making this high-tech polymer. They get attacked by a bunch of Sentinels that steal this plastic and take off with it. We cut to the X-Men, and you're opening there, being summoned to Xavier's office, thinking it's some kind of emergency. They're all running like mad to get there in their sleepwear. Storm looks like she's ready to go to the mall. I'm not sure what her. I guess they're all wearing their civvies. They're not really in sleepwear.
They seem to like that Storm outfit.
It's a great outfit. I really do like that outfit. It kind of looks like a badass superhero outfit. I would like to see her just fight crime in that.
Interesting.
You must have this Wolverine quote, do you? When they're running down the hallway?
Typical. 800 million on robots, and the phones don't work.
Yeah, that's a good one too. that was the guy on the phone at the factory.
I think I do have a Wolverine quote.
Well, they're like running in the hallway, and B says something like, "We must expedite. The professor is in the
B
greatest
says
of
that.
To
dangers."
quote the poet Villacquez, a return to the fold is truly one of life's greatest joys.
That's
Oh,
later.
no,
but
that's what
yeah.
he says when he gets. Whoops.
Yeah, but he says something like, "You must, with great haste, expedite, or the
Oh, yeah.
Professor X has summoned us." And then Wolverine says, like, "That's a fancy way of saying we need to get there fast." Just standard Wolverine, just bursting with the techno babble of Hank McCoy. When they arrive, they discover it's a welcome home party, and they use a quick line of dialogue to describe where Gambit and Rogue are. Because the Cyclops goes, "I don't get it. Like, if it's for Gambit and Rogue, they're not due back and for a while." But then we see Beast go to the snacks, so he's ready to party. But then Wolverine basically smells Morph is back and is happy to hear his friend has come home. And we see Morph's return.
You do.
And then they have a funny little gag. There's a funny little gag where he's like,
It is rumored that Zydex has developed a synthetic polymer with pervasive combat arena applications.
You want to give us that in English? Ready to get back in the saddle?
Reckon I am, Pilgrim. Let's you and me head out and find us some holy mere rustlers.
before
Holy Mirror Rustlers.
Holy Mirror Rustlers. Yeah, no, it's pretty solid. But before we get to that part, there's a funny moment where Morph says, "Hey, Wolverine, you should see the look in your face. It looks like this," and like takes Wolverine's face and talks like him too, which is pretty great. But it's a nice touching little moment here where you see that Wolverine actually like has a friend. Like he hugs Morph and he's like happy to have him back. This is where that Beast quote comes in, the poet Villacquez.
Yep.
And then Morph gets reacquainted with everybody, and they're all happy to have Morph back. But then they get it's funny because like Jean's got like the seminal '90s outfit on, like with the giant flared out bottom pants and the green shirt, and she's like, "Charles, the news feed in restricted area has told us that the X, like there's some kind of a thing going on in the news, like really bringing the party down, in which they see that somebody's stolen this high-tech polymer from this factory at Zydex.
Holy Mirror Rustlers.
Holy Mirror Rustlers, where they stole this polymer plastic that's, as Beast says, 1,000 times stronger than steel, but like barely any of the weight.
I mean, like centimeters thick and
thin as cloth.
That is what they make Sentinels out of.
He says it's thin as cloth, but 100% stronger than steel, which is pretty strong. Steel's pretty strong.
Still haven't lost your touch, I see.
I got ahead.
Just like riding a bicycle.
I got way ahead of you there.
That's all right. So I'm pretty used to it at this point. So Xavier sends him off because he's worried about what could happen if this technology falls in the wrong hands. So the X-Men go off, and when they're getting ready, Wolverine asks, Morph if he's ready for battle, and Morph takes on a few forms to show he is. Particularly one John Wayne there, as you played. And then some kind of a wimpy physicist in a purple and green outfit, which makes me think he's supposed to be Bruce Banner. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. Never thought of that. I couldn't picture who it was. I was trying to think of somebody. But
I think he's just supposed to be.
And strong guy, Guido. Everybody loves Guido.
We do see Strong Guy briefly, where he mentions they need strength, like maybe a wrestler or something. Actually, that comes later. That's not right here.
Oh, no.
But no, that's later. That's when they're getting into. So Wolverine and Morph go alone to investigate what. I'm not quite sure how they figure out where to go. Like where they get sense, maybe where the plastic was being kept, or if that was something that Xavier had come up with or no, they went to
technology.
Yes, I think I don't know if we got to that part, but anyway, the two of them go and investigate at Zydex. I think it was. That's what it was. They're going. No, they don't even know. They're just going to check us to see like the stake.
They know the company that.
Yeah, they're going to another place. Yeah, they're going to another place that's storing the same plastic to like check it out and make sure nothing's happened to it, hasn't been stolen. When they arrive, of course, Wolverine senses something familiar. That basically Sentinels is what he senses. These
Little
smells.
Jurassic Park nod there.
But then Morph comes across a giant footprint, which when they're running, basically Wolverine says we got to get out of here, and Morph comes across this giant footprint in his escape and realizes it was the Sentinels, and that's kind of a PTSD Vietnam War style flashback of what happened to him back in the first episode of the show, when she was shot by the Sentinels. So he kind of freezes up a bit. Wolverine, he says, Wolverine, you knew. And Wolverine says, yeah, we got to get out of here. He was trying to shield him from, but Morph gets upset that Wolverine's babying him because it even gets he's kind of manhandling Wolverine.
Get mushy.
He even gets kind of like handsy. Like he grabs Wolverine and like picks him up and shakes him around.
He does.
Which for a guy like
you
Morph,
said, he's been working out.
I guess so. Wolverine's upset because he thought like this would be an easy mission to ease Morph back into it, but this all happened. So we see them dismantling their party and after everything that happened. But then they talk about how Morph's still bothered by the Sentinels and all that sort of stuff. Beast waxes some poetic nonsense about parapsychology. And then we see, reference to the Sentinels are back.
It is rather Melvillian. Morph is not unlike Ahab, facing the great white whale.
Melville.
As said as such because of Herman Melville, the writer of I didn't even know Melvillian was a word. I guess if something is similar to...
Yeah, I've seen that attributed to a ton of names. It's just
well, any fiction that has somebody that's
Shakespearean, for example,
Joubert from the Les Miserables. Anyone that's
Victor
possessed.
Huguenots.
Yeah. Yes. Anything that's about someone possessed with the need for vengeance, I suppose, or the need to be dogged by something from their past. Be it a white whale, be it a guy that stole some bread, be it a sentinel. It could be anything. So we do quickly see that the master mold is indeed back and using this polymer to construct itself a much stronger body. The master mold itself is just a head, being the only part that survived from their last encounter with the master mold and the Sentinels. So they're using this new polymer. They're going to make him super strong and not receptive.
Like Master Modoc.
Kind of, yeah. He just is the head sitting there, which is funny. But anyway, he sends the Sentinels off to go find Gygrick and Bolivar Trask because they were part of his downfall last time, and also the mutant that destroyed him, which I believe was Xavier. It's been a while. What episode was that?
Trask and Gygrick. We are not programmed to apprehend non-mutant humans, Master Mold.
You are now, and then he shoots some beams into their. Basically, he's like, "Now you are," and then shoots them with beams that make their directives change. That was funny. The old beam directive trick. So Xavier tries to speak to Morph about why he's being upset with, why he's still maybe not ready to come back to the X-Men. Morph is persistent that he is, and that he can't. He's got to do this for himself, kind of thing. We see the Sentinels basically tracking down the people they had to hunt. First, heading towards the X-Mansion, going for Xavier.
Are you all right? Who cares?
That's good. More spot the Sentinels coming in for Xavier. He tries to defend Xavier, but he kind of freezes because he's so scared of the Sentinels. The rest of the X-Men show up to try to help and get in a battle with the Sentinels. Wolverine gets tossed around a bit. Beast got a super sci-fi gun, which is always fun. But the Sentinels managed to escape with Charles. They don't know where he's taking them. They just have a Sentinel head that they're trying to, from the battle that they're trying to get the information out of, but having little to no trouble or little to no luck. So Morph himself is very upset because he froze.
Visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that sculptor well those passions read. Ozymandias by Percy Bysshe Shelley.
Yeah, classic Beast.
Mm-hmm.
This time, and it's actually
up this episode.
Well, it's actually kind of relevant more so even because the statue itself is almost like the head and arm of a big statue. That's all that's left. So he's standing before this giant robot head and quoting that poem, which has been quoted
today.
Yeah, the poem has been quoted a lot. I mean, most notably in Watchmen. but in a lot of things. Actually, even in Breaking Bad, it's maybe one of the more newer versions of fiction. They're using that, and it's basically used as a cautionary tale to anybody that do not get lost in their own hubris. That no matter how big, how powerful you are, someday your statue will crumble to dust and your kingdom will be gone, and none of it will really matter. So it's just to keep you humble.
MZ says supposedly Morph's popularity among kids correlated with how Wolverine reacted to Morph's death in the pilot.
See, that I get.
Wolverine, and they misloved Morph because Wolverine misloved Morph. Oh, that's very sweet.
I understand that. That makes sense.
Pretty sure you heard the Leewald say that in an interview. Was it our interview?
It could have been.
Go check out our Leewald.
So they're basically figuring out from the Sentinel head rough coordinates of where they're located, and they leave Morph behind because he froze up and failed them when they needed him, basically, and he's pretty shattered by that, shook, if you will. The X-Men, getting their the X-Men getting their little in the Blackbird and head off to go to the coordinates, but then we see the Sentinels hunting their next targets, which I'm sure you have audio for.
While you've been wasting your time, Trask, look what I've caught. My notes! Now clean it and cook it for lunch. I'm a scientist, Gyrick, not a fry cook.
Like, I love that these two
agree with that. I believe, as a fisherman myself, I'm a firm believer of you catch it, you clean it.
Really?
You didn't give someone a fish with the guts in it and say, here, cook that. That's rude, man. You catch something, you clean it.
Fair enough. But I like that the Gyrick and Bolivar Trask after the last Sentinel incident, which was what exactly? Do you recall this? It's been a while since the Sentinels have been in the show.
It has been a while. Thanks, MZ. We enjoyed that interview a lot too.
You don't remember what episode the Sentinels were last seen in? I think it was in season 2.
Well, yeah, it wasn't very long ago at all. They sent some after Magneto like 2 episodes ago. It's like
right.
Genosha had some.
Right, but when was the Master Mold last seen then? Was that the
Genosha? Been seen for a while. That was
that the Genosha episode when they were on Genosha? It's been a while anyway.
It's been a while. Forget how they destroyed Master Mold now or when.
Anywho, because of that, basically, these two are in hiding, and I love that. Like they're just like.
Thanks, Ryan. Season 1 finale.
Is that the last time? Geez, thanks, Ryan. So the final decision was that episode, and I thought we saw them again since then, but I guess we saw. Anyway,
we see Trask, I think.
But I thought he was trying. That was the one where Cable showed up and didn't really do anything. Yeah. Anyway, not sure. Anyway, so they we get to these two, which I love the idea that they're in hiding,
hanging out,
but they they obviously don't like each other, and they're hiding out together. Like if you have to go hide out, like, why would you hide out together? They're like a gay couple arguing, which is really funny.
I like their dynamic a lot. They're the best part of this episode.
They pretty much are, yeah. And even Gyrick's got like this little fashion scarf tied around his neck, which I think is funny. But they're
target humans escaping.
They are the target humans.
Yeah. So while they're arguing, a Sentinel shows up and absconds with them. We see the X-Men arrive at the coordinates, where Gyrick and I guess what they found in the head of the Sentinels, where the Sentinels are going next. So they basically arrive while the Sentinels were kidnapping Gyrick and Bolivar Trask and getting a bit of a battle with them. One Sentinel manages to get away with them, and then they follow it in the Blackbird. Morph is doing some further digging into trying to find out where they're going and blows up the Sentinel head, but gets information from it about what the Sentinel's plan is. Basically, the Master Mold is still alive, and so he runs off to go do that. We see the Master Mold still working on his plan to show off to Bolivar. He has Trask, Xavier strapped to a little gurney there, and Trask and Gyrick walking while it's just basically bragging about its next plans to take over the world, essentially. Yeah. It's him. The Master Mold feels a lot more human this time around.
I was gonna mention that.
It
more colloquial than movie Ultron. Like they made movie Ultron very much like that. It was just like James Spader riffing, but like Master Mold's almost even further than that. He's so deeply a flawed human. He just
Yeah,
seems
also
like a
like
bit of
he's
a
a robot
petulant
that's hung up.
child,
Yeah, he's a robot that's hung
Yeah.
up on revenge, which seems like a very
Yeah.
not emotional response
It's
and not a
interesting. I actually like it because it's strange.
kind of, but I feel like we needed a slight explanation.
Well, he's broken. I mean, he's just a head.
Well, they're also playing out like what they're also kind of still playing out what the original programming was, which is wipe out mutants.
It's like we've mentioned with like Sentinels and robots before because they cut their heads off to kill them. It's just like, do they put all the good stuff in the brain for no a reason because
Yeah.
they're a robot? Like you could have it anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Put it in
Equally
their butt.
distributed.
Yeah, distributed
Yeah.
everywhere. So like if the head
Yeah.
gets blown off, the body can still operate. And they're
Exactly.
cameras on a robot would be everywhere, you'd think. So they like there'd be cameras in the chest and in the hands, whatever,
Yeah.
like why does it need to be a head?
No, they need eyes and a brain, I tell you. That's Trask. He's a madman. A madman.
Basically, the X-Men show up, disperse their plans. They get in a big fight with all the Sentinels and Master Mold.
From the true traitors, I want nothing but the use of their hands. But from you, Professor, I want something infinitely more personal.
That was so strange. It's like I almost felt like innuendo. I just want those guys for their hands, but you,
I think he wants him to work on the body, his body. But yeah, he wants to merge with Xavier's mind and make Xavier's powers like tenfold more powerful in his own cybernetic mind. So we get a cool little scene of Morph transforming into a bunch of different people we've seen in the show before, and fuck up a bunch of Sentinels, which is pretty great. Omega Red, Sasquatch.
He always turns into
Angel.
Mega Red. It's not the first time he's turned into Omega Red. He loves those carbonadium tentacles.
He sure does. But it's great seeing him use it in a fight. We never really seen Morph in a real battle before using his abilities, which is kind of neat. Like he comes in like, he comes in as Omega Red using his tentacles to drop a bunch of Sentinels. Then one grabs him, he turns into the Sasquatch and becomes super strong, busts his way out, rips the Sentinel's head off. Then as Sentinel's falling, it drops Jean Grey, and then he turns into Angel, swoops in, grabs her, and lands. Like it's all just really neat watching that all happen kind of in one sequence. It's a really cool little animation piece. But then he gets attacked by the Master Mold, who grew little like legs from the side of his head, like the Thing in the John Carpenter's movie, The Thing, and starts.
He looks like Cameron Hodge when Cameron Hodge ends up becoming a cyborg like that. He just has these
right.
That's some '90s X-Men for you.
But then Morph gets in a fight with him, but uses blaster to shoot a stalagmite. What do you call those things that hang from the building at the top of the cave?
There are stalactites and stalagmites.
Stalagmite, that's what I'm thinking of. To fall through the head of the Master Mold and stop him. Which pretty much ends our adventure. Basically, the X-Men rescue Charles. They get Bolivar, Trask, and Gyrick out of there. They say looks like you're ready to come back to the team. Morph says no, he's not. That he rushed this and he needs to still work on himself before he's ready. Wolverine's sad to see him go, but understands. And Xavier says you'll always be an X-Man, basically, as he flies away looking for some peace.
You need peace.
You're mad, Master Mold.
A machine cannot be mad, Professor. That is a human failing.
Yeah, I love that line. Master Mold, I like him.
I think revenge is a pretty big human failing too that you're seem pretty hung up on there, buddy.
Let him go, Wolverine. Morph knows what's best. If he can, he'll come back. He'll always be an X-Man.
He'll always be an X-Man.
Well, let's do what everyone came here for.
Each of us will have to look into his own heart and decide.
You think that's what people come here for? Just to hear a rating?
No, I just
not to listen to me talk for 20 minutes about everything that happened in this
episode. I have to make the ratings as important as I can.
All right.
Well, I actually do kind of like this episode. I'm gonna give it a 7.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
what I was thinking
I
too.
like
Actually, I was thinking around
yeah,
7.
it's pretty good, actually. It's just it's hard to follow that two-parter where it was all 10s from us. That was some great stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like I
This
said,
one
it's
I
not
like
too.
Gyrick, Master Mold, Trask. Beasts it up a bit. Geez, I could even give this one an 8. I'm gonna 8.
8. No,
Talking about it made me like it more.
I'm
Yep.
sticking at 7, but it is good.
Mhm. All right.
Yes.
Well, moving on. Is that very loud?
Oh my god, it was destroyed my eardrums.
Okay, hold on. Then I did turn everything up too much. Hold on. I'm gonna go turn my volume back a little bit. That's just the mic volume. Anyway, I know where
It's
I'll
all
turn
right.
it down. Yeah. Well, you start with your first X point while I'm figuring around with volume.
No,
All right,
I'm
that
saying.
should be better.
Yeah, no, I did like this episode for various reasons, but mostly just seeing Morph in action was kind of fun. Seeing Wolverine get his buddy back was nice, and the Master Mold was fun too. So 7's fine. I wouldn't give anything beyond that. My first X point. Well, Master Mold was interesting. I did like the kind of difference of his character. Would have liked a slight explanation as to why he seems way more human than he ever was before. Prior to this, he was always very calculating and cold, and it wasn't really about anything else beyond his function. Now he seems bent on revenge and using Xavier's powers to augment his own. But the point I want to make about him is his voice. He's voiced by Chris Britton, who you may also remember as Mr. Sinister.
Mr. Mold is?
Yeah, according to the thing I just read.
Wow. That's cool. He's a good voice actor.
He has the voice of the Sentinels as well.
Awesome. Oh, interesting. They sounded way different. That was even going to be one of my X points, so I'll make it my next one. The Sentinels sounding completely different this time, which, I like Chris Britton's awesome, but I liked the old Sentinel voice. I thought that was kind of perfect, and it didn't need to change. But they're different Sentinels, so there could be story reasons for it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been him that time too. I'm not sure.
My next point is there's a continuity error in this episode. When Xavier is captured, he's wearing his normal green suit. When you see him in the Sentinel, trapped in the Sentinel base, he's wearing his army suit that he usually wears in battle. His green army uniform.
They obviously changed his clothes.
They stripped the paraplegic naked and put new clothing on him.
Yeah.
Why? Why would they need to do this?
Revenge.
Oh, okay. Makes perfect sense.
Good old revenge. And revenge changing. Those.
I do.
Worse than a drive-by revenge changing. Really bad stuff. Well, we already talked about Storm's outfit. Okay, here's one. The poet Villaquez. I don't think that's real. I couldn't find any proof that person exists or that poem exists. I put in the words. I put in the poet, both together and not. No, I don't think there is a poet Villaquez that I can find.
Why would they make it up? They couldn't find one that actually worked.
To have a beastism, yeah, just to make a beastism, I guess.
That's been interesting back in the day, before the internet, to try to find some of these quotes. So you literally have to go find a book. The internet was kind of around, but not really to the level it is now. All right. Well, Morph's various changes, as we see in the episode, he changes into strong. This is my next point. Strong Guy, Omega Red, Sasquatch, Angel, and I forgot to mention in the interview, Longshot. During a battle with Master Mold, he turns into Longshot, which is interesting because he never met him.
He'd pick. How did he? I don't think he's met Omega Red either. I don't think he's met any of these guys. So they play it fast and loose with Morph's powers.
Yeah, I don't think he's met Strong Guy either. He could, or Angel. Yeah, you're right. Anyway, it's just interesting that they're all characters.
I mean, Moira.
Maybe he's a fan of the show.
Of all that stuff. So he could be looking on Moira's files or computers or something.
Maybe he's just been watching the show while in recovery and getting them from that.
Could be. That's what I would do if I was recovering from Sentinel trauma.
Well, he uses the
and Mr. Sinister brainwashing.
Yes, he uses Omega Red's tendrils for to help with the Sentinels. Sasquatch's strength for the same reason, Angel's wings to fly, and Longshot's hollow bones to kind of get out of the way of Master Mold when he would shoot beams at him. So you know, because his agility. So it's
Still
all
looks
very
like
interesting.
Mimic, the way they draw that angel. He looks like Mimic to me.
Oh
But
no,
Mimic Angel's
it was
powers, so it's like,
it
how
was
did he get the
class
wings if there's no angel?
it was classic Angel, like the one with the red and yellow costume, like that they showed in the last
They just put
episode.
so much yellow on it, it looks like Mimic, because Mimic wore a lot more yellow.
Oh, that's right, but he had the white face.
Yeah, Mimic just looked like a dude. He wore
Oh, I'm
glasses.
thinking of Morph.
You know,
Morph on
Cyclops'
Exiles has the
powers.
white head, yeah.
But they don't have glasses on him, so it's not Mimic, because he always has
His
those
glasses.
on Cyclops. But anyway. All right, my next X point. What do we got here? Beast's crazy gun. So now all of a sudden Beast has this gun that can just one-shot Sentinels. So it's like they're not even a threat anymore. So it's like that, like a Shi'ar technology gun? Must be, because they didn't have stuff like that before. Now all of a sudden he just jumps out with this giant gun that's as big as him. And it's like, boom, one-shot Sentinel.
He's got his Deus Ex Machina gun now. He can just swoop in and do what he wants.
I do believe it's pronounced Deus Ex Machina.
It's Deuce. Come on.
It's definitely Deus.
Why don't you go to hell? How about that?
Perhaps I'm already there.
Talking
to you.
Believe me, it feels like it sometimes. Yeah, so Master Mold orders Sentinels to retrieve the one who destroyed his body, which is a direct reference to the final decision from the end of the first season. So, you know, it's nice that they did callbacks like this. I mean, that was a hell of a long time ago in cartoon years. So yeah, it was a neat little throwback. But I do find the Master Mold's motivations very human and interesting. So,
well, I'll branch off of that. Like they say he's mad, and how he can't be mad is he's malfunctioning. That's what's happening, and like that's like the robot equivalent.
Doesn't he have a self-diagnostic program?
Maybe that's malfunctioning.
Okay.
I think he took a hit and he's just malfunctioning, and it drove him mad, because before he was logical. There's no logical reason for his revenge. So
maybe a lot of time to stew when he was just ahead.
Back to you.
Back to me. I was gonna say Ron Rubin, the voice of Morph. Most known, has done a lot of work entirely in animation. I don't think he's ever done any live action work at all in film. But just scanning through his work, he's worked on a lot of Clifford stuff, the Big Red Dog. But he worked a lot on Babar, which was a personal favorite of mine.
Oh yes, Babar,
the Canadian cartoon based on the children's book series about the Elephant King. I love that show. It was really good. He also worked on Beetlejuice a lot. Pretty much the entire series.
Oh, wow.
The cartoon.
Was he the voice of Beetlejuice?
I don't believe so. He was.
That would be awesome.
Additional voices. He does extra stuff, like different characters around.
Okay.
He was on Hammerman, the MC Hammer cartoon, Sailor Moon, the movies, playing Artemis. A lot of stuff. Yeah, Little Bear. You know, just all the stuff that's deeply Canadian as well. But man, mostly on the animation side, which is something. Tales from the Crypt Keeper. Yeah.
Ooh, I love that one. Was he the voice of the Crypt Keeper? Morph sort of laughs like the Crypt Keeper.
No, Dino Frog used the voice of. Most notably, he did Vision on the Avengers Unite They Stand series, which actually was a pretty good show, if I recall correctly. And another very strange Canadian show, Angela Anaconda.
Yes, I remember that.
It's a very weird show.
Indeed.
Oddly animated in a strange way. But anyway, he's still doing voice work. He's working on Big Blue right now. And Dog and Pony Show.
Really interesting. Kind of like our Dog and Pony Show. Yeah. My next X point is when Morph turns into Sasquatch, he has the voice of Sabretooth. Because he says something as Sasquatch and he sounds exactly like Sabretooth. So I thought that was kind of funny. He's mixing up his impressions, that Morph. Yep.
What did he say?
I forget. Just like it was just a word, maybe 2 words, but it was clearly Sabretooth's voice.
Oh, very cool.
Because Sasquatch's voice was very like this. Yeah. That's my X point.
All right, well,
X point.
My last point is the voice actor who does the voice of Henry Geiger's name is Barry Flatman, which I think is very funny.
Flatman, like the Great Lakes Avenger.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. Great Lake Avengers. Check it out.
Whose partner, Mr. Immortal, shows up in the She-Hulk show in a very diminished role, but also very funny.
My last X point is about my beloved Storm. Isn't it funny how rocks only fall on her?
Yeah,
rocks could fall on anybody, but they only fall on.
They sense her. They sense her. It's like they know that she has claustrophobia. They're like, we need him. The rocks need to surround her and keep her imprisoned.
I found that a little interesting. It's like it just seems statistically they should fall on somebody else at least once.
Nope, always on her.
Nope, just on her. She's like a magnet for rocks, kind of. Maybe
well, the guy
because of her electromagnetic powers,
or her just her magnetic personality.
She has that. That is true.
The guy that did that
Hey, check this out.
What are we saying?
Barry Flatman's done a lot of stuff as an actor. He's in a ton of new stuff. Still going.
Yeah,
most of these on Hell on Wheels, The Strain, Degrassi, Fargo.
Hell on Wheels was great. I watched the first season of that.
The Fargo TV show, Hannibal, the TV show, Defiance, which I watched, Murdoch Mysteries. I love Fargo. I'm behind on the 4th season. I haven't watched it yet, but I do need to watch it soon. A lot of stuff. Andromeda Strain, Happy Town, which was filmed around here. Yeah, pretty cool. Just Friends, starring Ryan Reynolds.
Hey, check this out. This is our comic reminiscences and recommendations. Mine actually isn't the X-Men.
Oh my God, are you okay? Is something wrong? Did you have a stroke? Do you smell toast? Do you smell burnt toast?
If there's anything I love more than X-Men, and it's hard to say, it's a close toss-up. It's Star Trek. So right now, this is the issue 3 of the current Star Trek series that is out. Crazy Q skull here with the USS Theseus hero ship in this book. Very cool. It's the return of the Sisko, Benjamin Sisko, and he's back from the Celestial Temple. If you've watched DS9, anybody, you know what I'm talking about. Sisko is back, and because there is something out there destroying the sort of godlike entities that inhabit the Star Trek universe, whether it be crystalline entities or, Qs, anything that's like considered godlike. Something's out there to kill him, and the Sisko has been sent back by the prophets because they fit into that category as well, to see what's going on. Stop it. Yeah.
I just want him to come back on TV. I don't want to read a comic. I want him to come back on TV.
Yeah, I want him back on TV too. I've wanted him back on TV since like 1990 friggin'
Bring back Deep Space Nine. Do a revival series of Deep Space Nine. That's all I want, please.
It's the greatest show of all time. Just
it was.
I mean, yeah. It's so, yeah. Moving on. Oh wait, to yours. What's your recommendation?
Well, I've talked a lot about Grant Morrison lately. I'm going to bring up one of my all-time favorite graphic novels, Grant Morrison's classic, The Filth. If you haven't read it, I highly suggest it. Basically, it is about Greg Feely, who is a dodgy bachelor living a quiet life in London alone with his elderly cat. Everything changes when a strange woman confronts him. She informs him that Greg Feely is actually a para-personality. In effect, a secret identity that he is, in fact, Ned Slade, the top secret agent for an organization called The Hand, a group of extra-dimensional agents who need him back in action. But it goes very deep into a lot of matters about... it's deeply human. I mean, it's very... Like Morrison, it's very strange. It goes into a lot of weird places. But I have to say, it's
to get unapproachable at some point. It's Grant Morrison.
I do protest that phrase, but I think it's very approachable in a lot of ways. But I think like a good piece of art, you don't necessarily know what it is. You could stare at an abstract painting, but still love it. So whether you get all of this or not, it doesn't. I think you'll still love it.
Who's doing the art?
Chris Weston,
okay.
Who I really, really, really love. Yeah. Fantastic artist, beautiful book, very interesting, cosmic, strange, weird Morrison stuff. But it's got a deeply human message about, I guess, kindness, finding your purpose in this life, and about how everything has a purpose, even the muck or the filth, the shit, if you will. So it's very good, and yeah, I highly suggest it. I don't want to say too much. You don't give away too much, but it goes into a lot of deeply human themes, and also kind of talks about, I don't know, all aspects of life, really, in one way or another. But it's very good.
All aspects of life in one graphic novel. You heard it here first.
That's right. It's all there.
Your remote. Where's it going?
Well, let me take you on a journey all the way back to 1997.
Good times.
In which
Back when the world was young.
In which film wasn't really hung up on plot, themes that made any sense, characters that really stuck to their. It was all about spectacle more so than actual coherent plot. Themes that are similar to what we're talking about today, with running from your past, also having trouble, coming up with your own identity because it gets mixed up in a bag in which they take your face off. I
knew this was coming.
I
saw you post about it. This is the first time Andre's seen Face Off.
I've never seen it before, and it's terrible. It's not a good movie, but it's a fun movie. It's a fun movie, and in the end,
because it's just a scenery chewing like school.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting watching. Well, it's interesting watching those two actors do each other, which is kind of interesting. But also, and the action's all really great. It's John Woo, so you got that. But yeah, the story is ridiculous. Really ridiculous. Like I love Colin, the Canadian actor, Colin Fior is in it very briefly as the doctor that does the procedure to switch the faces, and he's like
Bon Cop, Bad Cop, right?
Yes, and the Umbrella Academy, Thor, the first Thor movie, he played the Frost Giant Laufey. He's in Storm of the Century, a lot of good stuff. He's a great actor. He's in everything. Very Canadian though, but he's just like, well, we'll just do some surgery to get rid of those love handles, make your bodies the same. And he goes, it's only really a matter. He goes, we got these new anti-inflammatories that'll clear up any swelling or damage to your face in a couple days. Like, I don't know what these, like, why aren't these in the hospital? Why are we just using them for experimental face transplants? Why aren't they in the hospital now helping real humans?
Technology.
Then he's like, yeah, it's just the lasers cut off the face, and it's just a very simple matter of reattaching the nerve endings and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, simple matter? Like, my God. They're like surgeons that work their whole life to be able to even get remote stuff like this to work. And this guy's doing it in seconds.
That's why they call it microsurgery.
I want his face.
Do it on the micro scale.
Yeah, it's bad. It's real bad. Like literally nothing makes, if you think about anything or pull any string, the whole shirt just falls apart. But it's silly fun and ridiculously, like, you're not, it's not a great movie. Like, if you're going
in, like the start of what Nicolas Cage became.
Kind of. I mean, it was a banner few years for him. This was all around The Rock and Con Air and all these movies that everybody loved.
The Rock is fantastic. Con
Air's great too. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of the start of all that. But he's done some deeply interesting.
He's great. I'm not knocking Nick Cage.
I'm not either. I think he fully
that one about his life too.
Oh yeah, the unbearable weight of massive talent. Mm-hmm. I feel as though actually that should be the next movie we watch with Jen. We watched Everything Everywhere All at Once last night. She hadn't seen it yet, and
I haven't seen it yet. I want to.
It is. I think it's my favorite movie. I think it's Unseated Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is sacrilege, I know, but my God, I love that movie. It's so good.
I can't wait to see it, but I'm just waiting for it to come up on a platform. I missed it in theaters.
It's on Prime.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I'm gonna watch it then.
Yeah, it's very good. It's 2.5 hours, but it's very good. You got a baby? Just hang with the baby. Watch the movie.
Yeah, baby's not into that kind of movies yet. She likes opera.
Just give her an iPad. She'll be fine.
Yeah, I do. Times.
What were you doing? Playing with matches?
All right, it's 16-bit gaming with Super Nintendo Skelhorn. I'm talking 8 bits again tonight, but not
How
as
many
a
bits?
recommendation. 8.
That's
I'd say 8 bits are all you need, but really 16 is better. 16 bits is all you need.
Really, you checked out 32 and 64. You're out. You don't need those. You stuck at 16.
No, Super Nintendo is my jam. Doesn't get any better than that. But this is a warning, people. Do not play this game. Don't waste your time. I had this as a child, The Uncanny X-Men by LJN, who are notorious for making bad games. It's terrible. The characters don't look like any of the characters during the gameplay, really. I mean, they sort of do, I guess, but the graphics are terrible. The gameplay is even worse. It's ridiculously hard and not fun enough to justify the investment of actually trying to beat it. It doesn't feel like the X-Men, like the enemies don't look like anything they would ever fight or anything like that. It's silly, not even silly, because that's a good term almost. It's just terrible. Don't play it. I don't have my copy anymore. I got rid of that because it's terrible. But probably worth money now. I don't know. Maybe I should have kept it.
I remember X-Men, Spider-Man and the X-Men being a tough game too.
Oh yeah, X-Men games are hard. X-Men for Sega is hard, but it's worth it. That game.
I had a rough time in the Wolverine because every X-Men you had to play 2 levels with them and each character, and Wolverine's level when you fight Juggernaut was impossible.
And there was Gambit was in that, right? Or am I thinking of a different game?
No, I think
another good game was X-Men for Game Gear. I had a lot of fun playing that.
Game Gear.
Yeah, Game Gear. All right, we're gonna move on to our not final segment of the day, but the next one. Let us say. And courage. Top X. We're gonna do a top 10, but we're gonna talk about Tragically Hip because, as Andre said, they're not as known as they should be.
Pretty great. I mean, obviously, since their lead singer passed away, 5 years ago? No, more than that. 7 years
long ago now?
No, it'd be because I've had the house for 5 years and I was in the old apartment. I want to say 6 or 7 years ago.
Oh, shit. I got this. I kept this.
I should have suggested Gordon Danny's graphic novel.
From that
comics. Oh, it's beautiful.
I put that in the frame. You mean this?
The Secret Path?
Yeah, I have it right here.
Yeah, it's drawn by Jeff Lemire and written by Gordon Danny. Yeah, he died.
CD of songs as well.
Yeah, I have the record.
I mean, it's horrible. It's about residential schools.
Yep. Dark part of Canadian history.
It's the darkest part of Canadian history. But
darker than Native? Yeah, well, yeah, I guess it probably is. It's pretty rough. Yeah, I'd say it probably is. You might be right on that one. Yeah, he's 53. Right, he died of brain cancer at the age of. He died in 2017.
And he did a final concert for us all, for the country, basically, and it was played everywhere. Like, I watched it on Parade Square.
We watched it on my birthday, actually. We had people over at my house for a party. We put it on, and we were watching it. We pretty much just sat and watched the whole concert.
Yeah, man. It was good. I've seen them live many, many times, and it's sad that I won't ever again.
Yeah, no, definitely iconic Canadian band. It's a lot of beautiful music. I might listen to some tonight, actually. Thank you for the suggestion, Davan.
No worries. Here's the 10 songs people should listen to. You go first.
Nautical Disaster, which is what I said last time. I do deeply love that song. And it's one of my favorite ones playing the guitar as well. Where I relished in the fray. All right, we're not going to sing them all, but it is it's a very good song.
We might, though. All right, I'm going to pick it because it's the first album I saw them live. It was during their Music at Work tour, and I'm going to pick that song, Music at Work. That is a great song, and if you need to get through the day, it's the song that channels that feeling the most, like just trying to make the best of a work day that's not necessarily going to be enjoyable. So it's fantastic.
Very good.
you looking at a list of hip songs?
Sure am. Had to remind myself a few of them. Well, number 2 for me would probably be Bob Cajun. Then I do really like that song.
Yeah. Left the house this morning,
Little after 9.
quarter after 9. Well,
Thought
I'll pick the
maybe
one I picked.
quitting. Yeah, no, it's
I
his voice. It really shows how ranged Downey's voice was at times,
he's a
and
beautiful singer and such a poet.
yes, yeah, for sure. Like very great songwriter as well. A friend of mine is not a big fan of them. He thinks they're okay, but he says they're the best mediocre band, is what he says. And I always get in arguments with him about it. But he's from Alberta. He doesn't get it. He's from Alberta.
No, he doesn't get it, man. Like I didn't as a kid. I didn't like them as a teenager. It took me as an adult to even like any of their stuff. But then it just hooks you, and you realize how great it is.
It really is fantastic.
Because his voice is very different. Like as a kid, if you're used to this one thing, and kind
of, the standard sort of radio fare.
Yeah, they're not that. I'll say "Locked in the Trunk of a Car," which I did mention last week, but it's a great song. Let me out.
Well, I want to mention what I said last time, "The Darkest One," which is one that I really like by them. Actually, the Trailer Park Boys are in the video. I really like that song a lot, but I don't think it gets. I don't think it gets. Yeah, I don't think it gets the enough attention. Like it's not usually named within all their other big songs. So I do think it's one that could use that people should listen to more. It's very, very good.
I'm gonna go with Grace 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
Grace 2.
It's Electric Boogaloo. It's the Breaking 2. Electric Boogaloo. It's a classic 80s movie. Never heard Electric Boogaloo before?
Yeah, but I don't know what it is.
That's just it was from this movie.
Grace 2. Great song. They start most of their concerts with it. It's like their opener. Most of the times I saw them anyway. Yeah, Grace 2.
All right.
With Will and Determination. And Grace 2.
Very nice.
So good. All right, back to you. Last one.
Are we in 5? This is my 5th already? I think it's my 4th, isn't it? I think this is my 4th.
Okay, 4th is better.
You are ahead by a century. You are ahead by a century. That would be my
great song, but not one of my favorites. That's the song that actually turned me off the hip as a teenager, because that was the one that they were playing on Much Music because it was the hit at the time.
Yeah, well, that'll turn anybody off.
I don't much care for this song. And I just kind of didn't give them a chance again until I did and realized they're the best.
It's funny that most of my favorite songs by them are like all their modeling ones. You know, like this goes with my music taste, I guess.
Well, if I got 2 more, I am gonna mention. I mentioned it last week too, but Poets. It's a great song. Go listen to Poets. It's probably my favorite one. It's my favorite lyrics for sure. It's very poetic for a song called Poets. It's like, don't tell me what the poets are doing. Don't tell me that they're talking tough. Don't tell me that they're antisocial, but somehow not antisocial enough. Great. This is great stuff.
Yeah, no, that's a great one.
Last one.
Fiddler's Green. I'll stick it with the sad,
beautiful slow.
I'll stick it with the sad maudlin songs that I didn't pretty much picking all of them, but I do like I guess the darkest one isn't that slow, but no, I do really like that song a lot. And you're right, just beautiful. Beautiful. Like you're right about him being a poet. Like his tiny knotted heart. Well, I guess it never worked too good. The timber tore apart, and the water.
He's one of our best poets. One of our best poets in this country ever.
Yeah, beautiful song and beautiful band. Thanks for taking this, making me do this walkthrough. This is nice.
No worries. Go listen to all these. My last pick is gonna be. Oh, geez. Do you hear that?
No.
Oh shit. Well, my mic always cuts out anything that's not my voice. It sucks because there's a thing you can click that's like musicians click this, and it doesn't work. None of my sound ever comes through.
You have a literal program.
Cordelia.
Oh yes,
Cordelia.
Yeah, good one.
I love that song. I'm not Cordelia. Nothing there. Nothing there.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's
Their home. That's everybody's homework is to go watch Tragically Hip. And if you're a movie,
actually start with Cordelia, everybody. That's a good way to kick it in. And then go now.
And if you want another bonus film recommendation, Adam McGowan, who's a kind of famous, weird Canadian director, uses some of their songs. One of their songs in Exotica. So there you go.
What one? I haven't seen Exotica since I was like 8.
I just got the Criterion Blu-ray. They just put the Blu-ray on Criterion, and a song in Exotica. Adam McGowan. I know it's not coming up, but I know there's one song in there. Might be the one Sarah Polly sings. Anyway, you got to go back and watch that movie. She was just a guest on Mark Maron's podcast, WTF, which was very interesting. Yeah, this is today's episode.
Sarah Polly's awesome.
She is. Her new movie looks amazing. Women Talking. It's supposed to be excellent.
Yeah, it does. I'm sure it is. She's got good taste. And she doesn't do a lot of things. She just does things she thinks are good.
All I need now is for you to contact your students, Professor.
What's the homework, Professor?
Well, the homework's me trying to figure out what the song is. We'll have to look it up and tell you later. Homework is to go listen to Tragically Hip episodes, but it's also to watch
songs, not episodes. But
see, this is what happens when we're on a wrong night, which we didn't even talk about because it's Monday, and I'm all kajiggered. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening, and I just don't know. It's bothering me. It's making me upset.
I just don't know.
And I'm using it. I'm just pandering because I'm trying to figure out what the next episode is because I already had it up. Then I closed the window. It is Secrets Not Long Buried. It's the next episode, which is episode 7 of season 4, in which Cyclops flies solo to a tiny western desert community. And that's all we know.
That's all we need to know.
That's all we need. What happens in that community, Davan?
I don't know. I haven't watched it yet.
Really? You haven't seen this episode back in the past? Back in 1952?
First, I thought I had seen the entire series. Then we started doing this rewatch, and there were some episodes in season 4 I definitely hadn't seen. But then we got to this one, for example, which I definitely had seen. So I don't know. Maybe I just don't remember, and I was distracted as a child. But these later seasons are real hit or miss for me. Like I know some of them I went back, like Nightcrawler. I went back and watched it on purpose because I love Nightcrawler.
Wow, we get the first appearance of a seminal X-Men villain in this episode. I didn't realize he hasn't been in the show before.
Who do we got coming?
Toad.
Oh wow, yeah, Toad. Because there hasn't been a Brotherhood yet.
No, we've seen Blob and a few of the others, but not Toad. Interesting.
Wow, I'm gonna be glad.
We also get another deeply 90s X character, Tusk.
Yes, I had the Tusk action figure.
Yeah, so did I. It was a weird one.
Came out of the back.
I feel like everybody had that action figure. I had it. My cousin had it. There's a lot of
because it was the least popular one in the set, so it got
probably that was probably cheap as hell, and you just buy anyway. And who the hell wanted a Tusk toy?
I don't know. He's really obscure. He's just a Dark Rider. You never see the Dark Riders. They're very obscure. Apocalypse's Dark Riders. Support the show, Patreon/X-Men Review Show. You can contact us at xmenreviewshow@gmail.com, or you can just follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch and talk to us there. Well, not Twitch. No one will hear it. If you even can. I don't even know. I don't know anything about Twitch. Maybe you can send messages. I wouldn't know. Find our audio-only version wherever you get your podcasts, and please like, review, subscribe. We'd love to hear some reviews. They're always very interesting.
Yeah, please do.
When they float our boats and toot our horns. And we are a proud member of the United Federation of Podcasts. Speaking of which, what just happened? Tell us about the Graphic Histories podcast.
Well, episode 92 drops this Friday, and that's part one of my talk with David Cullen, who is an illustrator for Marvel back in the day, worked on What If comics, some issues of did a Marvel Spotlight, mostly works as a storyboard artist now for film, and has worked on some amazing ones, including The Lighthouse, and worked very closely with Robert Eggers, as I mentioned, I think, last week. But yeah, very good talk. It's a two-parter, so it's a long one, so we got broken into 2 parts. And yeah, I haven't heard any feedback for you on episodes, Davan. You still listening?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I haven't gotten to part 2 of Frank Forstall yet.
Oh, did you? So my little stinger I put at the back about saying I'm part of the United Federation of Podcasts. You didn't get to that yet? I thought that was in part 1 as well.
Didn't you do that in part 1? Yeah,
maybe I did. I did. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I did.
I constantly crave your validation, Davan. Without it, I would.
Oh, you have it, buddy. You have so much validation that you can bank it and just like grab some when you need it. You know?
It's funny because Davan usually sends me a message about something on social media at the worst time. It's usually when I'm at work and something's pissing me off, and then I'll get a message from Davan and be like, "Hey, remember tonight?" I'm like, "Of course I remember tonight." I'm usually at work and I'm like pissed off.
Me, asshole. I'm like,
I didn't say asshole.
That's what you were thinking.
No, I don't think you're an asshole. It was just funny because I was like, this morning you messaged me and you're like, remember tonight? And I'm like, I'm on the schedule. Of course I remember it. And then I'm like, I'm being a dick. I was just
lucky I didn't bring up the trivial debates debacle. I almost did in that moment.
It's fine.
Like, after that,
I'll never do that show now.
Also check up Hold Up, a movie podcast. We have an episode coming up on Wednesday on war movies with The Bridge on the River Kwai, A Bridge Too Far, in 1917. So definitely want to check that out with guest Mike Henry. Me and Murphy will be talking about war movies. It'll be good. Well, here's the poster for that one. There we go. Look at that. Very exciting stuff. Look at young Obi-Wan there.
So did you pick Bridges? Two movies with Bridges in the titles?
Doing that just by accident, because like when we pick these themes, there's so many movies to choose from. So then I'll pick one. And then I'll just like see another one that sort of references it in some way. I'm like, I'll go with that. Like with our party episode, I picked House Party. And then I'm like, oh, well, I could also pick Animal House. And it's 2 house party movies. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. I see.
This makes it easier for me. And I can't resist a stupid little almost pun.
Very nice.
So yeah, check that out. It'll be fun. And also check out Super Maid Brothers. I got reality show reviews. I don't know if there's any reality shows going at the moment, though. I don't think they're doing anything at the moment. We did our year-end review. Mary Mater Marvel Society. Check that out. That was fun. We had an award ceremony and everything. Check out the Hellbound podcast with Alex Blackburn and Michael Chan. They talk about. You listening to that yet, Andre?
No.
He'll get to it.
I'll get to it. I've been busy, but I am looking forward to it.
Also, check us out at KBBBL Podcast, where the extra B is for BYOBB, and we.
What's that B for?
What was it for last week? It was for bowling, I think. Was it?
Oh, because of
the bowling episode.
Margins Affair.
Which I love that friggin' episode. It got the highest rating from me so far by a mile. I love that. I thought it's so good. I thought it was from like season 3 or something. God, I love that episode. Jacques is hilarious.
Pretty good. I do think the one where Lisa falls in love with her student, her
Mr. Bergstrom.
Yeah, it was a great episode.
Dustin Hoffman.
Killing it.
Also, Trivial Debates. This one's coming up soon on January 20th. That'd be this Sunday, maybe? Yeah, this coming Sunday. Check that out on reality shows with Foster and my cousins Mater. And Jaemeel as host.
I like the cousins Mater. That's a nice sound. That's a nice sounding. That hits the ear just fine.
Yeah. Good. I'll use it again. And check out Live Long and Podcast. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of you guys in there.
Well, there's a lot of us that do it. There's
do they let you wear a hat in Starfleet? I've never seen a Starfleet officer wearing a hat.
I'm not wearing a hat. I'm wearing my bandana, as I am known to do.
But is that part of a regulation Starfleet uniform?
It's part of my cultural heritage. Like, you know how Worf gets to wear the sash?
And what's your cultural hippie? Is that the heritage that you're honoring?
No, I'm a Renaissance man.
Oh, so okay. You've answered all my questions.
And I do my Locutors of Trek. We finally just got another episode of the Locutors of Trek audio podcast in the can. I think it's been like a couple months. Took us a while, but it's on the failures of Star Trek, and it's a good episode. Go check it out.
There's quite a few of those, I'd imagine.
I have to edit it. It'll take me this week probably. It'll be out sometime in the next few days, hopefully. It's a good episode. And check out our new logo over at Live Long Podcast.
That's the one you guys settled on?
Yeah, it's up there. Well, no, we have other ones, but like these are all different divisions. We have our command division with the show reviews, and my science division there. We do all kinds of fun stuff over there. Check out those shows. Debate Nines, Launch Probes. In the Ops division, we're Star Trek Radio Theater, the Writers Room, which I hope to do again soon. And
deep love of Star Trek.
One of my shows in there.
That's all right. I know. I saw you guys debating what logo to use, and it was exhausting. Even though I have no dog in that fight, it was exhausting seeing those notifications come through.
Oh my god, I know. I was exhausted.
It's like 10,000 notifications. Like my watch vibrating every 3 seconds because someone else chimes in, and I was I got to mute these notifications. I think that one is good. I like that one. And as a graphic designer, nobody asked me. That offends me.
Well, because they just went back to the guy who did all these ones.
Yeah.
He already has the template.
I gave them.
Don't be sad.
I gave them a beautiful design before that they did not like, and therefore they'll get nothing more from me.
Nothing. Oh, Sam tells us they're going to be back with Survivor 44 on March 1st. So there you have it. That's where they'll be back with
44 seasons of that garbage show. My God.
I know, man. I watched the first one, saw that it was garbage, and
I may have watched the first 2, but I was like a teenager at the time.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, weird. Anyway. Parting words?
Come on, let's beat it.
Before we go, I want to read this quote for you I discovered earlier that I thought you'd appreciate, because we often slag on the DC universe, even though I try not to slag on...
you don't know so much slag. I do.
Yeah, you slag a lot. I'm a man of peace. I prefer us all to find a way to coexist. But this is a funny little quote I discovered. It's from Neil Gaiman. Okay. Neil Gaiman says, "I wanted to put a reference to masturbation in one of the scripts for The Sandman. It was immediately cut by the editor, Karen Berger. She told me, in quotes, 'There's no masturbation in the DC universe,' end quote. To which my reaction...
Another reason the Marvel universe is better.
To which my reaction was, in quotes, 'Well, that explains a lot about the DC universe.'"
It does. It does.
Maybe Batman would be would chill out a little bit.
There.
Maybe be chill out a little bit. Yeah.
Enjoy yourself, for God's sake.
For God's sake. All right. That's all I got.
All right. Well, we'll catch you next time.
Next time.
1, 2, 3.